أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. All right, so we're going to start Juz 3 today, Alhamdulillah. Well, you've probably already started, so we're going to discuss Juz 3 or the starting of it, Alhamdulillah, and also one of the greatest ayah in the Quran, inshallah. So starting off with verse 253, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, تلك الرسل فضلنا بعضهم على بعض منهم من كلم الله ورفع بعضهم درجات وآتينا عيسى ابن مريم البينات وأيدناه بروح القدس ولو شاء الله ما اقتتل الذين من بعدهم من بعد ما جاءتهم البينات ولكن اختلفوا فمنهم من آمن ومنهم من كفر ولو شاء الله ما اقتتلوا ولكن الله يفعل ما يريد. So a bit of a long ayah, but lots of lessons from this one. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, these are the messengers, right, which we have sent, and we have preferred or exalted some of them above others. To some, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke directly, while others Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised in ranks or degrees. And we gave, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave, Isa alayhi salam, the son of Mary, clear signs, right? Bayinat, وَأَيَّدْنَاهُ بِرُوحِ الْقُدُسِ, and we supported him with the Holy Spirit, meaning Jibreel alayhi salam. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مَا اقْتَتَلَ الَّذِينَ مِن بَعْدِهِ مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتُ. If Allah wanted, the people who received the clear signs would not have fought against each other ولكن اختلفوا, but they disputed, right? And فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ آمَنَ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ كَفَرَ. And as a result, there were some who believed while others who disbelieved. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مَا اقْتَتَلُوا, but if Allah wanted, they would not have fought each other. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَفْعَلُ مَا يُرِيدُ, but Allah does what He intends. So what do you think is the purpose of this ayah? Yani, what is some of the wisdoms or one of the wisdoms that we can get from this ayah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us about the messengers and how He's preferred some over others and how the people reacted to the message that they brought. So what do you think one of the purposes, for example, is for this ayah or the wisdoms? Any thoughts?
The people are not the same. Allah preferred some over others, and those who came with the truth, Allah chose them, used them to bring the book of Allah. And then there are those who don't agree. Well, they don't want to take it, so they disagree, and then they cause mischiefs because they're not taking in what the messengers brought, even though they're from the same people. But Allah prefers some over others.
Beautiful, beautiful. Nice summary, mashallah. So what is this kind of indicating to the Prophet ﷺ, for example? This message from this ayah.
Allah chose them over others.
Right. So it's sort of as a support, right,
Mm.
to the Prophet ﷺ, because of course when he brought the message, he faced opposition from many people, not just his own people, but from others as well, right? From the Jews, and they also kind of, they had that sort of partisanship, right? Where they said, "Oh, our messenger is better than your messenger, than you," for example, or they didn't even recognize his validity in the first place. But the point is that he had to face a lot of opposition. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is supporting him with this ayah and saying, well, there were so many messengers that were sent, right? So you are part of a bigger kind of picture. And some were given some miracles or some preferences or some favors over others, right? But does that mean that we can kind of say, oh, this prophet is better than this prophet, and this prophet was given this title, so he's better than this one? Are we allowed to do that?
No,
Oh, no.
No. Why is that?
because it's not our place to say. Allah
Not
is the
only
one who
that, but
decides.
yeah,
Uh,
continue.
Allah is the one who decides
Uh-huh.
who his creation he said is better than other. But for us, when we say that's a put down of other prophets, it's like an insult towards the other prophets. We're saying
Exactly.
that one is not important. This one is important. So it's not even coming from a good place. If we were to say,
Exactly. Exactly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking us back to the purpose, the main cause, the main source, right? If all the prophets have been sent by Allah with the same message, how can we prefer one over the other, right? If one has been given one quality and another has been given another quality and another has been preferred in one way or another, depending on the situation, the time, the society, how does that, change the purpose of why they were sent? They were all sent for the same purpose and they were all sent for with the same message, right? So if we say prophet is better than this prophet, we're losing the plot, right? We're not even focused on the message that they're bringing in. We're going now on the personalities, which is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us not to do here, right? So, yes, some of them have been preferred over others in different ways, but the plot is still the same. The purpose is still the same. The message is still the same. We cannot prefer one over the other because they all brought the same thing, the same message, the same goal that they wanted to reach, right? Um, but there were reactions, right? There were reactions to this message. And if Allah wanted, everybody would accept this message, right? But why is it that some people differed? Why is it that Allah allows people to even oppose the message? What do you all think?
It's a test. It's a test for those who's going
Mhm.
to take it with sincere heart, who's not going to take it because they are deluded by desires and their doubts. So it's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. You always hit the nail, mashallah, on the mark. Exactly. So it's a test, right? To see if Allah willed, as He says, وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مَا اقْتَتَلُوا. If Allah willed, they would not have fought. They would not have disagreed. There would be no disagreement. Everybody would agree, right? But that's not the point, right? The point is who will actually, listen, take the message, use their free will and choice to come to faith, right? And those are the people who are truly deserving of reward. If Allah wanted, things could be crystal clear, everything could be right in front of us, and everyone would have to believe. But then that would not separate the disbelieving person from the believing person in the sense that a person with evil in their heart or arrogance in their heart, grudges, dhulm, whatever it is, that would not be exposed. But this test is what filters out the good from the bad, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is consoling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you will face opposition. This is a very natural consequence of this message that is being delivered, right? There's going to be people who are going to oppose. And this is just the sunnah. This is going to happen and has happened from the beginning, right? But then that's the point, right? That's the point. You're going to face this. So he's giving him that solace, that strength. Okay, so just continue to carry on with your message, right? And there will be people who will actually believe in you. They will support you, right? And there will be people who will dispute and they will deny. All right. So this ayah is a very beautiful reminder, right? That also for us, right? For example, like some people have been given some qualities and some people have been given other qualities. So as the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should not um start getting jealous of what other people have. For example, right? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen to give you certain qualities, instead of focusing on other people and what they have and what they don't have, focus on your, what is it? Purpose, right? That is the point. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you, for example, your ability to study, understand, learn, help others, whatever qualities you've been given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a reason for that. You need to tap into that reason and find that purpose for which you have been given these qualities instead of looking at other people. Because the differences that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, placed within us, amongst us, right? Therefore, a wisdom of His, a reason, right? And that reason is many. There's so many, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accomplishes many things through the differences that He's created within us. If everybody was equal, if everybody has been given the same qualities, the same skills, everything, lots of work in the dunya would not be done, right? Lots of things would not be achieved. So instead of focusing on others, focus on what you have been given and the purpose for which, you have been sent as well, right? We all have been sent on this earth to accomplish a purpose. So that's how we can look inward towards what we have been given and to use our qualities for His sake. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moves to the next ayah here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu أنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة والكافرون هم الظالمون. Now, after we have been, directed towards thinking about what we have been given, right? Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, now use what you have been given. Use it, spend it, work with it, and invest in your akhirah before a time comes when it's too late. Right? Oh, believers, spend out of the sustenance which we have provided you. من قبل أن يأتي يوم, before the arrival of a day. لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة, when there will be no bargaining, right? No buying or selling, no friendship, ولا شفاعة, nor intercession. And it is the unbelievers who are the wrongdoers. SubhanAllah. So how do we link this ayah to the previous one? Any ideas? I kind of just gave it away, but let's see if you're listening. How do we link this ayah with the previous?
So the previous ayah is giving us the message that the
Mm,
prophets came with.
mm,
And as followers, you are to follow the message and
mm,
give in sadaqah whatever you can.
mm,
And follow the messages because they welcome the day of judgment where nothing will ever help you. It's over. You can give sadaqah. You can have, your friends cannot help you.
mm,
And there will be, basically, there's nothing after that. So spend and follow the messengers now before that
mm,
time comes.
Nice, beautiful. I love it. MashaAllah, mashallah. Very good. And just to highlight, of course, this is regarding spending from, your monetary wealth. But remember, rizq is not just limited to wealth, right? Rizq is anything you have been given. Anything that you have been given that you can use for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your time, your health, your intelligence, your ability, your resources, anything that you have been given is rizq. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us that every one of us has been given rizq, right? Right now, we just learned about فَضَّلْنَا بَعْضَهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. Allah has given some people some things over others, right? But it does not mean that you have not been given something too, right? You also have been given rizq. And you may have fadl over another through this rizq that you have, this ability, this time, this whatever you have, right? Your health. So instead of losing the plot again, don't lose the plot. Don't say, oh, this person has this and I don't have this, and you're constantly in the race of acquiring more provision. Focus on what you have been given and use it to invest in your akhirah. That's the plot. That's the purpose. So this ayah is directing us to our purpose. What is our purpose? To use the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in His way, in His cause, to invest in our akhirah before a time comes when we cannot benefit from this rizq. We won't be able to use this rizq. There's like a limited time to spend it. Imagine like you've been given a gift card, right? You've been given a gift card. It has a certain amount of money, let's say $30,000, okay? A big amount, okay? And there's a time limit. This card will expire at the end of the year, for example, yeah? And you're allowed to spend it before the year is up. Would you just be like, okay, let me get more gift cards. Let me collect more gift cards, or let me collect more money and just to hold it in my bank account or in my little drawer until, I get more. That would be a very foolish person who's just collecting. The smart person will be like, I have a deadline and I want to maximize the use of this gift card. For $30,000, I will spend it, right? I will use it for investing in my whatever, right? So that's an example. So we have been given so many resources, but there is an expiry date. There is a time limit where we can actually use these resources to invest in or get whatever we need to get. And what do we need to get? We need to get good deeds. We need to collect good deeds, right? So we need to spend that rizq that we have been given, not just monetary, but anything that we have been given in order to collect as much good deeds as we can before the expiry date. And when that expiry date comes, that 30,000, as an example, will expire. It will go, right? There will be no way you can spend it. You cannot use it anymore. It's going to go. So the smart person will take advantage of this time. Yes. And Allah says there's no bay', there's no selling. You can't be like, okay, well, I'll trade it off with someone else or for someone else's stuff. Maybe somebody else can give me. There's nothing. It's just a complete cutoff, right? And there's nobody who can help you. No friends. Nobody's to, back you up to give you something. Let's say you're at a loss. You didn't spend the 30,000. Now you don't have anything for yourself, right? You can't get any help from any friends because they're all thinking about themselves, right? They're all gonna keep their own 30,000 that they've spent. Yes? Wala shafa'a. And no one to help you, no one to intercede. If a person is going through any sort of punishment or adab or, based on their actions, there's no one who can help them. SubhanAllah. So this ayah is telling us focus on your own resources. Focus on what you have been given and go accomplish your purpose with it, right? Before the expiry date. Any comments on these two ayat? Anything that you guys took away from lessons? Or, oh, one more thing. The ayah ends with وَالْكَافِرُونَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ, and it is the unbelievers who are the zalimun. Can someone kind of comment on this part of the verse and tell us what this means?
They're the wrongdoers because what wrong is worse than disbelieving in Allah?
Could you repeat that, please?
I said they are the wrongdoers, and what more is worse than being a disbeliever? They're doing the worst.
Ah,
Mm,
uh-huh.
yeah.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the real zalimin, the
Hmm.
real oppressors, the real wrongdoers are the
Mm,
kafirun, are the
yeah.
disbelievers. Can someone explain what that means though? Like how is disbelief oppression or dhulm?
They're oppressing themselves. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, by
Mm-hmm.
disbelieving, they're not harming Allah. Allah is in need of no one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're the one who are completely in need. So they're oppressing themselves by taking themselves to hellfire.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're wronging, first of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's justice, yani his what he deserves. That's it. Of course, it does not harm Allah in any way,
Mm,
but it's not giving the haqq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Which is
mm,
to worship Him and acknowledge Him alone. And we talked about the definition of dhulm, I think, last session, if you guys remember, right? The definition was وَضْعُ الشَّيْء
mm-hmm.
فِي غَيْرِ مَحَلِّهِ, to place something where it does not belong, right? So we're not giving the haqq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're not placing the haqq where it belongs, right? A person who disbelieves in Allah. And what happens? As this Firdausa said, they're wronging their own nafs. They're wronging themselves, right? But did we know that kufr and shirk, right? Disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the door or the key for all sorts of dhulm, all sorts of oppression. Why is that? Because you're denying Allah. You're denying justice. You're denying the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? You're denying following what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed. So what are you going to do? You're going to follow yourself. You're going to follow what you think, right? And what we think is going to lead to dhulm, 100%. Why? Because a person does not follow anything but their desires, right? What else are they going to follow? There's no right or wrong for the kafir, right? On what basis are they making something right or making something wrong? They're inevitably going to lead themselves and others towards the dhulm. Subhanallah. So the ultimate injustice, as we know, in Surah Luqman as well, right? We learned, or we will learn, inshallah, right? Inna shirka la dhulmun azim, right? As Allah says, shirk is the greatest injustice, right? So similarly here, wal kafiruna humul zalimun. They are those who are the real oppressors. Because start oppressing the haqq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? They're not giving the haqq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're oppressing themselves, and they're going to inevitably oppress those around them. Allahul musta'an. So any other reflections about these two ayats before we move into Ayatul Kursi? What did you guys take away from these two verses? Any action points?
I like how you said, like, everybody has something. everybody, because sometimes we're often looking at the one who has more than us, that we're thinking, oh, if I had that, I would also give it. I would have done that. But the reality is, whatever little you have, if you give, you would have given out from whatever big you have. So often we're like looking at other people, or I could look at the teachers. They can teach because they know so much, but then what the little we have and the people next to us need it,
Mm,
we don't teach it because we're too busy looking at the guy who's we think has way more to give. And
mm,
therefore we're busy. And I like how you said it, spend. I'm like literally, I wasn't even thinking about anything other than money.
mm,
That
mhm.
spend of your time, whatever you know, a little smile, it doesn't matter, something, whatever you've got. But for me, when I was looking, I was thinking money.
Subhanallah.
Subhanallah.
Yeah.
Because
And
money, Allah
mhm,
gives money and Allah gives time. Whatever we've got, Allah is the one who gave it to us. And Allah
mhm,
is the one who gave to the one who has more. And
mhm,
that there's a different expectation. Whatever little you give, give. If you had more, you would give. But if you had little and you didn't give, chances are you have more. You're probably still looking at somebody who has more.
mm.
Yeah.
Very true. It's a mindset shift, right?
Mm.
Absolutely. And it's not just time, right? It's
Yeah.
rizq is inclusive of anything and everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. Your health is rizq, right? Even
Mm.
your physical body, what you can do with it, that's rizq, right? As you said, your smile, so that's like your character. That's rizq. Allah's given you the ability to show good character. So when you show good character, you're spending of what Allah has given you, right? So we need to expand our definition of rizq as well. So we can actually maximize the fact that we actually have so much to give, subhanAllah,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Sis Maisha says, rizq is, of course, can be a great test as well, or a great trial. Absolutely, absolutely. Your family is rizq as well. So much is rizq. How can you use what you have for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake and to invest in your akhirah? Sister Rashida says, I love how when you spend, it's not going into an empty hole, but rather being collected to save us on the day of judgment. Absolutely. No, no, it's always think when you give anything in the deen, whatever it is, right? Not money, anything, money, time, whatever it is an investment. When you invest, you feel there's like the sense of comfort in your mind that this money is not being lost, right? It's actually growing, right? So when you were giving, you're like, no, no, it's still mine. I can still access it. It's mine. It's growing, but I'm giving it away, meaning I'm not using it right now, right? So the same thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expands and doubles and multiplies our reward over and over again when we spend. So that is an investment. It's always an investment. Absolutely. Any other points or takeaways? All right, so let's continue on into the greatest ayah of the Quran, subhanAllah. And it is Ayatul Kursi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allahu la ilaha illa hu al-hayyul qayyum. Right? Allah, there is no God, no deity worthy of worship except Him. Al-Hayyul Qayyum. He is the ever living, right? Al-Qayyum, the ever subsisting or everlasting or ever maintaining. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم, neither sleep, neither drowsiness overtakes him nor any sleep. له ما في السماوات والأرض. To him belongs everything that is in the heavens and the earth. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه. Who is it that can intercede with him except by his permission? يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم. He knows whatever is in the future, right? In front of them. وما خلفهم, and whatever is in the past and is behind them. ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. None can encompass anything of his knowledge except what he wills. Subhanallah. وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. His kursi expands or is greater or it was wider than the entire heavens and the earth. وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا. And guarding of both of the heavens and the earth does not fatigue him or does not tire him. وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. Right? And he is the most high, the supreme. Allahu Akbar. So what were some of the benefits or virtues rather of Ayatul Kursi? What did we discuss? Can someone remind us of some? Some virtues, some benefits.
Ayat
Mhm.
Kursi, you said Ayat Kursi, right? It's basically,
Yes.
Ayat Kursi is introducing, is telling us who Allah is.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, who's Allah? Allah is the one that you cannot worship anyone other than Him. There is no worship except who's can accept it. He's the only one that it ever existed that would ever exist.
Hmm.
And so for as Allah is telling us who is and what's the expectation and who what Allah does. But
Hmm.
like the qualities here is hard to explain. Subhanallah.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
magnificent ayah, subhanAllah.
It's deep, Allah, subhanallah. So everything is within His control. We are all in need of Him. Not only that, He created us, every second we are depending on Him. Every single second. Subhanallah.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Yeah. And He's in need of no one. Even no sleep overtakes. And even if sleep, a little drowsiness. Forget the sleep. A little drowsiness. No
Hmm.
fatigue. Subhanallah. Who's fatigued? We are fatigued.
Yeah,
We do a little
subhanAllah.
thing, we're extremely tired. We need sleep to survive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we depended on him.
Absolutely.
SubhanAllah. It's
Allahu
really,
Akbar.
it's deep. It's
SubhanAllah.
something else. This eye is heavy.
Oh yes, absolutely. Did she mention any virtues in the sense of rewards or the times we should read it and some of the benefits in that sense? And from
Yeah, I
hadith?
think if I remember one, it was like after prayer, after each prayer,
Mhm.
you read
Yep.
it.
Hmm.
And
What's the reward for that?
I think the word was you get Jannah. Between you and Jannah is death, no? Hold on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So after salah, right?
Yeah.
Anyone who reads Ayatul Kursi after every salah,
Hmm.
nothing prevents him from Jannah except
Except
death.
that. Yeah.
SubhanAllah. So making that as a very like a
Mm-hmm.
habit for us to
Mm-hmm.
make sure we read it after every salah. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
any others that were mentioned in the tafsir?
Before sleep.
Before we sleep. Very good. Exactly. So it will be as a protection, right?
Yeah.
As there is a that in the hadith of I believe it was Abu Huraira, the one where the shaitan came and was trying to steal something from their food storage, and he caught. Did she mention this hadith? And he caught him, and he was trying to, take him to the Prophet ﷺ, but he asked to be released and he let him go. And then he came back another night and he came back another night. So the third night he didn't let him go and he was like, I'm going to take you to the Prophet ﷺ. And he said, no, I'm going to teach you some words. And if you read them, shaitan will not come to you. Uh, if you read them before bed, then you will have a guard that will protect you from shaitan. And when Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu told the Prophet ﷺ, Prophet ﷺ said he is a liar, but he spoke the truth in this case. Um, and do you know who that was? And he said no, and he said it was Shaitan himself. So he came in a human form and he taught us one of the virtues of Ayatul Kursi, which is it protects us from Shaitan before if we read it before bed. Allahu Akbar. So, and it is the greatest ayah of the Quran itself. And as Sister Firdausa also highlighted, it talks about Allah Himself, right? It introduces who Allah is, His qualities. There's actually how many attributes are mentioned in this ayah of Allah's? Anyone know? So there are five names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in this ayah. For the first one is obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ismul Jalalah, and the next two are Al-Hayyu wal-Qayyum, and the last two are at the end of the ayah, Al-Ali wal-Azim. Yes, Al-Ali wal-Azim. So five names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I think it was mentioned like around 26 of his descriptions, attributes, right? And the first one being that, again, there is no one worthy of our shukr, our gratitude, our love, our worship, except him alone, right? Because of the fact that he is Al-Hayy al-Qayyum. Al-Hayy is, what was the description given of Al-Hayy? Who is Al-Hayy?
The ever living,
Uh-huh.
without beginning. He doesn't have a beginning. He was always there.
Very good. So
Mhm.
no beginning and no
Mhm.
end.
Yeah.
Also, right? So there is nothing before him and nothing after him. And he
Mhm.
has al-hayy is the kamalul haya. It's like the perfect life, right? There is no deficiency in his in his haya, in his life. And even to the point that لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. Because when we sleep, right, it is a form of like death, right? It's a minor death. So to the point, his life is kamal. It's perfect, that there's not even a blemish, that there's not even a moment where he feels any drowsiness or sleep like that, like we do, right? And what was the meaning of al-Qayyum? What was discussed? What is the meaning of al-Qayyum?
The ones that sustains all that's living. The sustainer of all.
Beautiful. The sustainer of all things. So not only does he have perfect life, but he is perfect in sustaining the life of everything else, right? Nothing can exist except through his sustenance, his sustaining us, right? We're so dependent. Like literally, if Allah wants, He can just say be, and something happens, right? Or it just can happen based on what He wills. So how can we defy Him? How can we deny Him? How can we even, challenge Him in any way, right? SubhanAllah, like it's just a person who has like no a being who has, let's for example, let's say a person has a complete authority over another, right? Let's say it's a king or something, and he has a complete authority over a prisoner, as an example. And he says, you know what, like for example, Nimrud, we talk in Surah or actually we're gonna take in this just actually was the king at the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? He said, "Ana uhyi wa umit." I'm the one who gives life and I'm the one who gives death. And he was saying, okay, well, I can tell this prisoner die and he'll be killed. At any moment, any time, I can just say die and he'll die. That much control or power. How much would this prisoner want to, for example, appease the king and say, okay, you know what? Yeah, this guy has complete authority over me. And, I will make sure I'll do the things and not to anger him, not to displease him, and so on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the highest example, right? He has absolute, like he can tell anything to be and it is. Like you can tell my breath to stop and it will stop right now. SubhanAllah. That's the perfect control and power he has, right? And we challenge him. SubhanAllah. It's like it's mind-boggling to think of our inability and his perfect ability. Okay, what was mentioned about the greatest names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Did she mention anything in tafsir about that? The greatest names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Was anything mentioned in tafsir about that? So there's
Assalamu
a debate.
alaikum.
Yes, wa alaikum
Yeah.
assalam wa rahmatullah. Go ahead.
I think she said something about like if you make dua using the names Al-Hayy and Al-Qayyum, then Allah never turns down the dua, like it's fulfilled.
Very good. So whoever makes dua with the greatest name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's called Ismullahil A'zam. The greatest name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whoever makes dua with that name, then his dua will be accepted. So in the hadiths, it doesn't actually mention which name it is, but the scholars have discussed and they have come to there's differences of opinion, of course, but there's a lot of scholars who lean towards the fact that it may be Al-Hayy wal-Qayyum, because there are some other references mentioned that it's mentioned in three surahs of the Quran, which is Surah al-Baqarah, Al-Imran, and Surah Taha. And these two names occur in all three. So the point is, the scholars also discussed that Al-Hayy and Al-Qayyum, the reason why they may be the greatest names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is because they include all of his other names and attributes, right? So these two names of Allah, they include all of his other names and attributes, right? So perfect haya means in every way. It means he's perfect in his existence, in all sorts of ways, right? Perfect in his sight, for example, perfect in his sam' wal basar, perfect in his rahmah, perfect in all of those things, right? So it's inclusive of all of the other names, as well as al-Qayyum. It is inclusive of all of his actions. All of his actions. I mean, Al-Qayyum is the one who sustains everything, meaning he's Al-Razaq, he's Al-Wahhab, he is like any other action that you can think of, right? He's the creator, he's the sustainer, he is the, nourisher, he's all of those actions of his, names and attributes that are related to his actions are inclusive in Al-Qayyum. So that is why some of the scholars discuss that these are the greatest names. And of course, this is the greatest ayah in the Quran, so it's very, very possible that these are the greatest names. Allahu A'lam. Yes, exactly, Sister Rashida, you summarized it really well there. Al-Hayy attributes and Al-Qudus, Al-Qayyum for actions. Okay, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, furthermore, we talked about neither sleep nor drowsiness overtakes him. لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. He owns everything, okay, in the heavens and the earth. Everything belongs to him. Allahu Akbar. He is the complete owner and master of everything. So if we want anything, right, why do we run to people? Why do we run to, the means when we have the creator of the means and the result? Allahu Akbar, right? He owns everything. So before, this is a training for all of us, right? Myself, starting with me, right? That we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for anything we need, right? From the little to the lot, from the shoelace to, the job or the car or whatever it is, the big thing, right? Instead of turning to things and people before we take any sort of action, we take the action of dua and we ask him, the one who owns everything. He's the one who's going to unlock it for us, right? Even if we take the means, he's the one who's going to unlock the means to give the result. So let's turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the owner of everything. And his power and his authority is so complete that nothing can intercede, right, with him except with his permission. Right? It's hard to imagine, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's grandeur, his greatness, his majesty. We really don't give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the right he deserves. We don't even think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the right by giving his right, of thinking about him, subhanAllah, right? He is beyond what we can, encompass, beyond what we can imagine, beyond what we can even understand. His authority, his majesty, his grandeur, the honor that he deserves, right? So if we truly understood that, we would not be able to move a muscle without asking his permission. Subhanallah. Subhanallah, which is true. Everything that we do is with his permission. Everything. If he will not allow my hand to move from this second to this side to this, from this side of the laptop to this side, it will not happen. That's how much control and power he has. Yet he continues, he gives. And then it moves to his perfect ilm. Right? So these are all of the attributes of discussions, his mulk, his perfect life, his sustaining everything, his perfect authority and dominion, right? And now to his perfect knowledge. How can we describe the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What does Allah know? How do we describe his knowledge?
It's limitless.
If somebody were to ask you, yeah, go ahead.
It's limitless. It has no limit.
Limitless. Perfect. That's a beautiful way. Perfect. Yes. And as it mentioned in this ayah, يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم. He knows the past, right? Well, وَمَا خَلْفَهُم. He knows our past, everything that happened in the past, and not just the past. Everything happened from the beginning of time to the end of time. And actually, time is his creation, subhanAllah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beyond time. He's beyond time. He's not limited by time. But everything that is past, future, all of this is a part of creation. So he encompasses his creation. He knows what is in the past, what is in the future. وَمَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ. What else does he know? He knows the past, he knows the future. What else does he know?
He knows Even if the future or the past was to go in a different way, even then he knows it.
Aha, very good. Ahsanti, very good. If something were to happen, how it would happen, right?
Mhm.
He knows the hypothetical, as they say.
Mhm.
So hypothetical, he will know the outcome of the hypothetical. Yes? So his knowledge is that perfect. And he tells us about our knowledge. Now, وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ. And we, us little humans, we
Mhm.
cannot even access or understand or encompass or even, know anything of this knowledge except what he allows us to know, except what he wills. Subhanallah, subhanallah. We think we are the most intelligent beings in existence, right? That's what we think, human beings, right? We have so much knowledge. We have developed so many things. We have advanced so much in technology. We are this, we are that. We choose to deny Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thinking that I have more knowledge. I know. I know there is no God. I know this. I know that. Allah says, you wouldn't know anything. You know nothing except what He allows you to know. Subhanallah, subhanallah, right? Our comparison is incomparable. Our knowledge is His allowing us to know that. And we can't even understand the limitlessness of His ilm. Allahu Akbar. We use the very knowledge that He has given us to deny Him. Can you see the irony here? Subhanallah. We know nothing. And people based on knowledge, based on advancements, academics, intelligence, blah, 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 say that there is no God. Oh, Allah's beyond that, subhanAllah. Like, I believe it was Umar Sulaiman. I was listening to him. He was saying something about the incomparable nature of human beings, obviously, and our limited abilities, versus obviously the limitlessness and the perfection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So like think of an ant, yes, challenging a neurophysicist from whatever university, Harvard, whatever, right? Think of an ant. Like an ant has no comparison with, for example, someone at that sort of academic status, right? An ant's brain can't even understand and encompass. And imagine that ant challenging that neuroscientist, neurophysicist, whatever. Why and how does this work? And what does this work? And what is like, it makes no sense. There's no comparison. Yes? And we choose to take our that limited intellect that he has given us, he has permitted us to know, to challenge him with, subhanallah, and challenge his laws. Why is this? Why do we have to do this? What's the benefit of this? I mean, this is Allah, subhanallah. If we truly understand our like littleness, our insignificance, right, we would not be able to open our mouths, honestly. وَسِعَ كُرْسِيهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, and his kursi, right, expands or is bigger or more vast than the heavens and the earth. What was the hadith mentioned about al-kursi? Did we discuss this in tafsir? How great is al-kursi?
Is that the ring that's dropped on the desert? No,
Yes, that's the hadith. Could you remind us?
I don't remember very well, but it was in comparison, the actually comparison to the heavens and the earth, a ring dropped it in at the desert.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
It's not even that actually.
Less.
SubhanAllah, it's even more than that.
SubhanAllah.
So I think it was the hadith, I'm just going to paraphrase it, basically means that the entire like dunya that we see, right? The limit of the dunya that we have right now that we can see, and I mean including the universe that we see, right? So the Milky Way, galaxy, blah, 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 all of that entire universe that seems endless, that is considered as sama ad-dunya. Okay, that is the lowest heaven. You know how they say they have sab'a samawat, seven heavens? The one the one that we have reached the limits of, and we cannot obviously even reach the limits of. It's so big, right? That all is just one sama. That's just one of the heavens or the skies. So, and that sky, as-sama'u dunya, is like a ring in a desert. A ring. Think of a small little ring on your finger. Throw it in a desert compared to the heaven above it. Okay, so all of that, the limitlessness of the sama dunya, the sky of the dunya, compared to the heaven above it, is like a ring in a desert. And then the hadith continues and says, and that sama, the second one, compared to the third one, is like a ring in a desert. And the third one, compared to the fourth, is like a ring in a desert. And the fourth to the fifth is like a ring in a desert. And the fifth to the sixth is like a ring in a desert. And the sixth to the seventh is like a ring in a desert. And the seventh, all of that, compared to the kursi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is like a ring in a desert. And all of that, compared to the throne and arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is like a ring in a desert. So it's like mind-boggling, right? That is wasi'a kursi as-samawati, the greatness and the magnificence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا, and it never tires him, okay, will never fatigue him, the guarding of all of that. And it's not only like macro, it's micro. Think of all of that hugeness and greatness. He's controlling everything, he's managing everything, he knows the ins and outs of everything, and it goes to the micro as well, the minutest atom. Yes, within all of those things is in his knowledge, is in his control, is in his care. And nothing of that tires him. And we end with وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. And he is the highest, the most exalted, right? Al-Azim, greatest. Allahu Akbar. So, so powerful. SubhanAllah. If we just understood Ayatul Kursi, it is enough for us to appreciate the magnificence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why it is the greatest ayah of the entire Quran. And it should be a very, very big part of our life, right? They mentioned that we need to minimum, okay, if we were to read it after every salah, it's already 5. We read it after before bed is like 6, right? And there's another hadith mentions that you should read it morning and evening. Yes, morning and evening with your morning evening adhkar. So that makes it about 8. So minimum 8 times we should actually connect with this surah, minimum. And if you can read more, it's best. It's for protection, for remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his greatness, and our insignificance at the same time. And inclusive of, which is mentioned by many scholars, the greatest names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So dua after this will be, inshallah, accepted. Yes? So try to make Ayatul Kursi a huge part of your life and the life of your children as well. Make sure you teach them that and that they also understand its meaning. Okay, any takeaways? What did you guys feel, or how did you interact with this ayah after studying its tafsir? What do you think about it?
So I always thought that kursi is the chair, but then she mentioned it's the footrest of the chair.
So it's best not to translate it like that. It's best to just keep it the way it's translated, al-kursi. But yes, this is not al-arsh, okay? Al-arsh is the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is his
But then
kursi.
she was mentioning the footrest, and I thought all my life that kursi is the chair. But then she said it's the footrest. So
Yes. In other languages, kursi is translated as chair, and as you can see, it's also mentioned here. But again, the English translation obviously will not necessarily do its justice. It's just the way we kind of make sense of what it is, but it's not al-arsh, if that makes sense. Okay, they're two different things. Yeah.
no, there is a footrest, and then there is a chair. The footrest is smaller than the chair, right?
Yes.
But then she said the kursi is the footrest. So I was kind of a little bit confused.
Okay, so al-arsh is, we don't call it the chair, we say it's the throne, right? That's, I guess, the closest translation we can say. Al-arsh is the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And kursi is less than that. Yes, it's smaller than that in the sense of as we learned about the hadith, about the ring in the desert, right? And these are two separate things. Okay, does that help?
So am I gonna think now that the kursi is the chair or the footrest? So
So
that's my question.
you could, it's best to just translate as kursi, okay? If you can
That's
just
what I thought all
kursi.
my life. Then she said it's the footrest, so the
But
chair
trust
should
is trying to give us ideas. Like
Yeah,
we
exactly. That's
yes,
the
read it
reason.
like
So
that.
it's giving off a
Yeah.
specific translation or ideas. So just stick to kursi and know that this is a different creation. It's a creation, right? Kursi is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as is his arsh. These are both creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are two
okay.
separate creations, and it is not referring to al-arsh. It's not the throne. Okay?
Okay.
But it is a actual physical creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we know. Right. Barakallah fiki. Any other reflections or takeaways from Ayatul Kursi? How are you guys connecting with this ayah? Or what did you learn that was different from or new or reflective? Yes.
I thought it was subhanAllah, it's so powerful. I mean, you feel small when you're reading it. Very small because the comparison is it's out of this world. And as human beings, we either want something or somebody wants something from us. And within this, when we want something, we should go to Allah. He got everything. There's
Mm,
nothing that Allah does not have.
mm-hmm,
And He cares for us. He takes care of us. He provides for us, even when we're not asking of Him. Because
mm,
without His care, we would be gone. We wouldn't even exist.
mm-hmm.
Right. And when he asks us of something, who are we not to say, oh, I can't do it, or why should I do it? Why? Because he owns us, like we are part of the ownership. As-samawat word literally includes us. It's not like we're not outside it.
Yeah.
We are owned by him.
Uh-huh.
So he has every right to ask of us of what he has given us. It's not, we're not even giving us something we own. Whatever is being told to give or do is because he gave it to us and he allow us for our
Subhan.
own good. He's not in need of it. He's free. He's
Mm-hmm,
free of all this need. But
mm-hmm,
we are so dependent on him.
mm-hmm.
We're thinking we're big. Subhanallah, that image you brought up of the ring being dropped, like that's something else. We among that, we part little speck of that ring. We're nothing actually inside that.
Yeah,
It's
very true.
ajib.
Very
Subhanallah.
ajib. Very ajib.
Yeah.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
Yes, and I love how you said his care and his love. Like that's also, it comes through this ayah, right? Like he's taking care of everything, including you and your entire life and your
Mhm.
entire affairs and your entire, littlest things. One of the other names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I really love is Al-Latif, right? Al-Latif, the subtle, the one who takes care of the minutiae of everything,
Mhm.
right? And that means you and everything related to you and your life and how you're born and how you grow up and how you rate, like everything, your food, your clothing, your future, everything is in his care
Mhm.
and he's taking care of you. SubhanAllah. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the being, the greatest being, right? Is taking care of you and I in such little ways, right? And he
Yeah.
is the greatest of all. So how should our relationship be with him? Right? Like we should run, 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 run to be in his, in his to get his pleasure, subhanAllah, to get his love. Because he's the greatest. Yani, like whenever we, for example, I know I don't like giving comparisons, but we can't understand unless we give human examples, right? Like think of someone, you know, that you really look up to, someone really, really, really like, wow, I would love to be in their company, or, subhanAllah. And we chase these people, like we run after them, we want their company, we want to be, benefit from them, we want their attention, whatever it is, yeah, whoever it is. And, we make effort, right, to stay in touch, to keep a relationship, and so on. And that's just a human being. That's just like you and me, subhanAllah. And Allah is the greatest. And to Him belongs the highest example, right? There is no comparison. But Allah is the greatest. He owns everything. And He's taking care of everything. and He knows everything about you. You know, why are we so hesitant in wanting a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in wanting to please Him, for Him to be happy with us, right? Our salah, our everything that we do, it should remind us that, I'm trying to develop a relationship with Al-Azim, you know? So it should, technically, this ayah should increase our love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well, and wanting to be in His company in Jannah, right? As the last words of the Prophet ﷺ were, right, before he passed away, Allahumma ar-rafiq al-a'la, ar-rafiq al-a'la. Right? Oh Allah, the highest companion, in the highest companionship. So we want the companionship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Jannah. And how do we get it? We need to develop it here. We need to develop a relationship with Him here. And how do we do that? First of all, we know who He is. We understand His value in our life. And then we do the effort to keep that relationship. Allah understand. Okay, any other takeaways?
I was thinking, like, sometimes when little kids, they do something and they say, "Mommy, is this right? I've been doing it right. Look at me, I'm doing it right." And they're looking for that. Yeah, good job, our boy, our girl, you're doing it right. They check with you if it's right. But for us, somehow we do things and we're thinking, "Oh, what harm can it be? It's something good." But we don't check it with the deen of Allah. What's the point of doing it if Allah is not going to accept it regardless? It's absolutely futile. You must check with the Creator and check his Quran and what he brought with his prophet to see if he's going to accept it.
Absolutely.
Just like a child
Absolutely.
look for to the parents and they're like, "Mommy, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right?" Because they want to make you happy. They want to see, "Oh yeah, you're doing it," or "No, baby, you're not doing it right. Do it this way." And they look into you. But for us, we feel like, I did it, so it should be accepted by Allah.
We feel entitled that whatever
Yeah,
I do should be accepted.
right. Without even checking. It should be. I'm doing this. I'm slaughtering this animal for my grandfather who died 100 years ago. So great. Like what? How do you know if it was not done by his messenger or it's in the Quran? Are you just gonna think Allah is just gonna accept it because you're so generous that you did it?
So in general, yes, we need to definitely
Yeah,
check,
yeah.
our actions. And you're probably referring to this part of the ayah, right? مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. Like even our deeds, right? They cannot
Yeah,
intercede for us unless they are, of course, accepted by Him.
right. Well, we check.
Yeah,
Yes,
very true.
exactly.
Very true. Okay, great. Great point. Any other takeaways? I want to hear from others as well. You've actually reached the greatest ayah of the Quran. You don't have a reflection? Share with us. We'd love to hear. I'm sure you all have reflections. Just try to share. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now? Remember there's a few angels, or not a few, but there's certain types of angels that have been created, right? From their existence, like anyone, since they were brought into existence until the day of judgment, and they have not raised their head from sujud. They have been created in sujud, and they won't raise their head until the day of judgment. So imagine how long that is. Yeah? And these angels, when they raise their head, they will say, مَا عَبَدْنَاكَ حَقَّ عِبَادَتِكَ. Truly, we have not worshipped you as was your right to be worshipped. Meaning, if we were to spend every second of our existence in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we would not have given Him His right. So how faulty, subhanAllah, are we? I mean, if we were to spend every second of our life, we would not be able to give His right, then what about currently? You know? We really, really, really need to up our game. At least the connection that you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Start with that. Start with that. It's not just about, checking things off a list. It's about developing that real, solid connection with your Creator. Trusting Him, loving Him, depending on Him, asking Him, turning to Him, That sincerity and that care and that as they say, sidq with Allah, right? Honesty with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're true. Your heart says, "Oh Allah, I want to please you. I want to. I'm faulty. I'm deficient. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna fall. But I really, 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 really want your companionship in Jannah." You know, that is a great starting point. Yes? Khair, inshallah. Any other reflections before we go to groups? All right. I would love to hear some of your reflections, inshallah. If you want to write them, type them out, send them in the group, that would be great too, inshallah, because this is a very, very important milestone in our studies. جزاكم الله خيرا everyone. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.